Finally, Netanyahu and I agree on something. The acts of terror created in the Middle East is a problem and must be stopped. Netanyahu recently discussed in an interview that one superpowered country in the Middle East is funding terrorism across the region, destabilizing the world because of it, and he agrees they must be stopped at all costs. And I, for one, am proud of Netanyahu for finally admitting how problematic Israel is for the entire world. Because during the interview, he openly admitted that Israel had a large hand in overthrowing Assad and installing the terrorist dictator Jolani in Syria. And not only was Jolani a former Al-Qaeda leader, but to overthrow Assad, Israel had to work with HTS, which was also a terrorist organization.
Remember that in these 2 years of conflict, we also went after Hezbollah, that threatened to rain down 150,000 rockets and missiles on our heads, and they did quite a bit of that, and we basically brought them to their knees, Hezbollah. We brought down, by our action, the murderous Assad regime.
As we speak in Gaza right now, Israel is funding a terrorist anti-Hamas militia to destabilize Gaza. Now, this force completely funded by Israel is called the Popular Forces. Now, in between funding, terrorist organizations like Popular Forces, HTS, or literal Al-Qaeda leaders, every time a bear shits in the woods, Israel is caught launching rockets at Gaza, Syria, Lebanon, Iran. Hell, Israel even manages to finance efforts to destabilize countries in Africa. So good on you, Netanyahu, for finally being willing to tell the unadulterated truth about Israel. Hold up, what? Hold up, y'all said I misinterpreted the interview? I'm hearing it wrong? But it was Netanyahu who just admitted to overthrowing Assad and installing a literal terrorist dictator in Syria, right? That was him. And it is Israel funding this Popular Forces terrorist militia, right? And it is Israel committing a genocide right now and actually refusing to even pursue a ceasefire deal that they claim they wanted, right? And Israel does bomb Syria every chance it gets, right? And they also bomb Lebanon every chance they get, right? And it was Israel that gave pagers to a bunch of Lebanese citizens that led to the deaths of multiple civilians after they remotely exploded those pagers, right? And they do and did attack Iran every chance they get and almost sparked World War III based on a lie about nuclear weapons that Iran does not and did not have, right? And it is Israel that has a nuclear weapon and Iran that doesn't have a nuclear weapon, and yet Iran is attacked for the potential of having a nuclear weapon because Israel doesn't want them to have one, right? Even though they've never threatened Israel with a nuclear weapon, like Israel has threatened Gazans to use their nuclear weapon against them.
I think we've done something else. It's not only been a war against Hamas terrorists, it's been a war against the Israel terror axis.
So excuse me if I thought Netanyahu was displaying some semblance of integrity and actually calling out Israel for once. I mean, he said axis of terror, and I assumed that he was talking about the country committing terrorist attacks all across the world, funding terrorism all across the world, and destabilizing multiple regions across the world. My bad. Yo, what is going on, everybody? Thank you all so much for tuning into this live stream segment of For the People podcast. And of course, as always, I am your humble host, Niko House. We have an exciting show for you guys today. Lately, we've been having some trouble with my internet. I hope that I have at least introduced a temporary solution so that things will be more smooth today. I am currently procuring a more permanent solution to that problem. Please don't blame me, y'all. Like, I had to switch internet when I moved houses, and I went from fiber optics back to the old one because I didn't have a choice. And of course, just like the most American thing that has ever happened to me in Brazil, I actually ended up paying more for the worst quality internet. Where I'm trying to like get all that situated because basically the camera that I'm using doesn't really, it's using the internet to stream. Whereas the camera that I would normally use did not use internet to stream, and so I wouldn't have as many problems. Hopefully getting resolved, or should be resolved by the end of this week. So I put together a temporary solution, and I hope that it works out, man. So first things first, how are you guys doing? We're gonna do a couple of shots before we get started. Sophia, what's going on? Boa tarde. The bang. Brushouty? I'm gonna go with Brushouty. Jones is disgusting, boy, ain't he? Duh, I thought he was gonna cry on camera again. President Jafar, what's up, Nico? You need to cover the free movement between Barbados, Believe St. Vincent and Dominica, the Caribbean making moves, and Barbados at the head of it. I am partially aware of that, but I'll look more into it. Barbados has been on one last few years, by the way. They've been trying to seek to become, Belize, got you. They've been trying to seek to become more independent a lot, like ever since they got the new president. So it's been cool to see them evolve in that respect. And I hope that the other Caribbean countries follow behind. Tronics, what's going on? Jay, is she dodgy? She seems a little bit dodgy, I reckon. Who talking about? Candace? She seems like she looked like the opposite of dodgy lately. I don't know what y'all watching. JFB, what's going on? Nico, since you live in Brazil, can you read in Portuguese? Yeah, I can. I speak Portuguese. My wife is Portuguese, man. My kids are Portuguese. I'm not. My wife's Brazilian. My wife doesn't speak English. She tries. She really, really does. But she's what they would call maranhense. So she's from like whatever your idea. If you live in the States, whatever your idea of country is, like multiply that by 10. Like if they didn't grow their food, they didn't eat food that day. Like when my wife got air conditioning for the first time in her little like one bedroom where her kitchen is like next to her room, she actually thought like she was living the rich life. That's a true story. So yes, it's a little bit, not that she's actually brilliant, and grammatically she worked so hard to perfect her Portuguese when she moved to Rio that like she's subconscious whenever I have to like criticize her and things like that, because it's a little bit harder for her to pronounce things like the R in English. Whereas if she was like from Sao Paulo, it'd be much easier for her. Paulistas actually have like probably the easiest time learning Portuguese, or excuse me, English. And I would say like maybe Cariocas from Rio. I think they probably have the easiest time learning Spanish because of the rhythm. It's very similar. Are you asking me to read that? Seja feita vossa vontade. A conquista da Amazônia, Nelson Rockefeller, o evangelismo na idade do petróleo, Gerard, Kobe e Charlotte Denet. Eric Rousseau, what's going on? What's going on? Cat T. Cobra Commander. We slaughtered 380,000 children, Israel and the U.S. That basically Babylonian gold diggers. That's actually a very good way to put it. I'm glad, man. I try to make the hot spots. Cat T, I appreciate that. I try to make the hot spots as enjoyable as possible. I know it's a lot of information, a lot of heavy stuff, but I try to keep it light. Oh, I appreciate that. Looking handsome as ever. My kids keep me young. And I take care of my face. That's actually a big one. My grandma has had me on face regimen since I was like 13, 14 years old. I'm not even joking about that. That's a real life. That's like, she was not playing about that. And later on in life, I understood why. Hey, Kenneth Edison, really quick. Let me give a shout out to our new Patreon members. Glenn Goldman, appreciate you. Arletta Safir, or Safir. Hope I said that right. And Deborah Wilson, thank you very, very much. I appreciate it. If you want to support the show and help grow the show, you can become a member of our Patreon team by clicking on the link in the description. Greatly appreciate any help. Like I said, we're trying to get a little bit more help around here so I can go back to streaming daily, like I said, or even potentially multiple times a day. If I get the help, and get it done. So as much as you guys can help, the more, as quickly as you guys can help, the more quickly we can get back to get into our regular regimen. But in the meantime, we're going to do as much as we can. I do want to go ahead and get this show on the road. We're going to be talking about Zohran Mamdani and his ridiculous comments about Maduro after he was bullied once again into effectively just saying some bullshit. Like, y'all know how I feel about Zohran Mamdani. He's fake. He's not his dad. That's for damn sure. And that's for damn sure. He called himself a democratic socialist or a socialist. I don't think he falls in any of those categories. He's constantly throwing movements under the bus that actually got him in the position that he's in. And it feels like he's doing the opposite of what one should do when you're actually in a position where it looks like you're about to smash your establishment competition. When you're about to it looks like he's going to dunk on them in this upcoming election in New York. And yet he keeps doing whatever they tell him to and speaking however they tell him to and advocating for policies and politics and movements the way they want him to. And it's ridiculous. And like I said before, if he's doing that right now and he doesn't even have a legitimate reason to do so, why the hell would I trust you to be the mayor of New York? And while you're trying to wear this leftist banner, right? So we're gonna be talking about that. We're also gonna be talking about, obviously, this Van Jones clip. Man, I thought the clip was bad. His apology might have been worse. But we're gonna talk about it. But to start off the show, we're gonna talk about Candace Owens dropping receipts. Candace Owens, y'all, has been on quite the tear lately. And I said last week, I said, yo, ain't no way. Y'all remember the last live stream Candace did, which I believe was Friday or Thursday. She came out and said that she asked a series of questions where she was like, hey, look, did Charlie Kirk say that he had no choice but to abandon the pro-Israel movement? Yes or no? Did Charlie Kirk say that he had planned on bringing me back into the fold, introducing her back into TPUSA 48 hours before he was killed? Yes or no? Did Charlie, she asked a series of questions and said it was a very simple yes or no, gave them 48 hours to respond, and she let everybody know ahead of time. She had receipts. She didn't catch anybody off guard. She didn't blindside anybody. She actually gave them opportunity after opportunity after opportunity. And in fact, as you'll see in this clip, she talks about the fact that there are more names in the group chat and she hasn't released those names yet, but she's going to start releasing them throughout the week. And once again, I don't necessarily blame her. Some people are like, oh man, she's like fishing reviews. I'm like, nope, actually, she seemingly gave them every opportunity to show some semblance of integrity. And instead of doing so, these people decided to double down and call her bluff. So let's hear what Candace got to say.
And others knew that Charlie was done with Israel bullying him, and I am now going to present you proof of what I am saying. This is an actual group chat, which happened 2 days before Charlie Kirk was assassinated. There were 9 people in total on this chat, including Charlie and Rob McCoy. I'm going to protect the names of the other 7 for now. To be clear, I might actually release a name every day this week, but I want to show you this because suffice it to say, Rob McCoy was on this text thread, and I think it helps contextualize him as a person, in my view, that he would attack me for telling the truth about the pressure that he was facing. Take a look. So Charlie writes in this group chat, just lost another huge Jewish donor, $2 million a year because we won't cancel Tucker. I'm thinking of inviting Candace. Somebody writes, oh. Charlie writes, Jewish donors play into all of the stereotypes. I cannot and will not be bullied like this, leaving me no choice but to leave the pro-Israel cause. Then somebody writes, a donor writes, please do not invite Candace. That might feel good short term, but it's not good long term. In my opinion, like all groups, you're going to get a wide variety of opinions. That nasty free will thing that God bestowed on us makes life frustrating at times after the dust settles a bit, maybe. So again, this is 48 hours before Charlie Kirk was assassinated. He was very clear and he was very explicit, and he did not back down, not in that Hamptons meeting, which they're all lying about, nor in this text thread. I'm not going to reveal the names of the other 7. Actually, you know what? I disagree with myself 4 seconds ago. Let's just throw in Josh Hammer for funsies. He's on this chat, okay?
Yeah, that was kind of funny. It was like, actually, I'm about to go ahead and drop his name. And I'm gonna explain to you guys why it was important that she actually dropped his name and why she probably didn't feel the need to protect him and called him out directly and called out this guy, Rob McCoy.
So what are we to make of that? Okay, now that I'm showing you this and showing to you that the conversations were real, I want you to reflect, and it took me a lot of patience to allow the lies that were being woven and the misrepresentations of people that were pretending that I was just, high on lying about Charlie and the pressure he was under, the attacks that not just me, Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly faced for trying to stand up and tell the truth about what Charlie was actually going through. Why are you hearing it, though, from me and Tucker Carlson and Megyn Kelly? Isn't that weird? You got people that are hosting a show. Have they, in like one honorable thing, come out and said, like, you know what? F a couple of these donors who made his life a living hell in the last couple of weeks. Why haven't they done that? There's also a rabbi in that chat. Like, why hasn't anybody made that move to at least say, to vindicate what I have been saying about what he was going through? That registers to me as very suspicious. I'm going to frankly say that it's suspicious to me. It makes me think that in the same way that Charlie was being pressured by money, that you might be now run by that same money, that those same donors might be running you to correct the ship and to focus yourselves on eulogizing Charlie as something and someone that never once flinched, never once for a single second doubted the Israeli cause.
Yeah, not gonna lie. Not gonna lie. I was one of the ones that was like, yo, right now, where I'm at with Candace is like when she says she has receipts when it comes to this Charlie thing, I have had zero reason to doubt her. And what she said and the receipts she just dropped is a big ass deal. So just as a full disclaimer, once again, y'all know how I feel about Charlie, specifically overall. Y'all know how I feel about Candace for the most part, even though I've given her flowers regarding her investigative journalism regarding Charlie. And I also give her flowers regarding Palestine. She's damn sure better than fucking Van Jones for that matter. I actually, once again, somebody making sure that the investigation of their dead friend is carried out correctly, that is normal. Gaslighting her into believing that investigating her friend's death when it's a clear government cover-up is problematic for him and his family, that is psychopathic. That is crazy. So you already know where I stand on that. But the proof is in the pudding, ladies and gentlemen. The proof is in the pudding. If Candace has been saying, the reason that she was like, it's weird that BB is coming out and doing this video and putting out this letter and pretending as if Charlie was going to continue to remain a friend to Israel, going to continue to be an outspoken supporter of Israel. She was saying it was weird, and she was attacked for it. And she was like, but y'all know, TPUSA, the executives, the people close to Charlie, y'all know why I think it's weird. Why are y'all coming out and attacking me like y'all weren't part of this group chat? But they continue to attack her anyway. This, does effectively mean that regardless of whether or not Charlie's intentions were genuine or opportunistic, he was planning on leaving the pro-Israel movement. I believe, for example, that Candace's intentions for why she doesn't like it, because she's been against the genocide since day one. And actually her reasons for being against the genocide are more believable than the majority of conservatives that they obfuscate a little bit when it comes to why they're critical of Israel and the genocide they're committing. Candace actually been pretty upfront. She was like basically being a mom and then watching it happen at the same time, because she became a mom around the same time genocide started, just completely changed her perspective on anything to do with Israel and Palestine. So like, it's more believable from her side. But like maybe Tucker, for example, is a bit opportunistic in his evolution on the issue. Okay, cool. So my point is, regardless of whether or not Charlie Kirk was opportunistic or not, he planned on making a pivot. He planned on making a pivot. What he was doing, and I've already explained before that is actually a little bit problematic, because the pivot that this text was 48 hours before he was killed. Him losing the money from the Jewish donors, a little bit before that, like that $2 million, a little bit before that, getting bullied by Bill Ackman because of the impending pivot was what, a month or so before that. And apparently that conversation that he had with Tucker Carlson was almost damn near a year prior, and they had several conversations leading up to that moment. So him making the pivot away from pro-Israel talking points and Jewish donors and Zionist donors is problematic, because it means that you knew Israel, you either knew Israel was in the wrong, and yet you continue to support them, and the chickens came home to roost, or no, basically it. Yeah. No, you knew Israel was wrong. Or, it was genuine. But I don't really believe that was a genuine pivot, right? I'm being honest. Because he's like, I don't want to be bullied. So it wasn't really about Israel's genocidal support, it wasn't really about Israel's genocide or the support for that genocide by the United States. It wasn't necessarily because he disagreed with everything Israel did, or have the same criticisms of Israel as myself, or even like Candace would, and coming from two different sides of the aisle, right? It is because of that. It's because like, oh man, we're losing money because I won't do exactly what Israel said. But either way, the pivot was there, the pressure was there, and he made it very clear. He wasn't even shy about why he was making that pivot. I lost $2 million because these motherfuckers just want me to say whatever they want me to say, and I can't dispute it. Can't question them. That's a problem. I don't like once again, y'all, I made it very clear. I said, you can't run up on an entitled white. This man is the same man who was famous because he wanted to get into an Ivy League school and it didn't work out for him, and he blamed black people, and he has literally been a millionaire for complaining about not getting his way since the beginning of his career. Right? You cannot bully a white man who is that entitled and has got his way his entire adult life. It's just not going to work. Eventually, he's going to push back, and that's what happened. But what this also proves is that everything Candace has said regarding the context of Charlie Kirk, Israel's potential involvement, because now we got to weigh that out. We got to weigh out the potential involvement of Israel now. If the meeting in the Hamptons, the bullying by Bill Ackman, pretending like that it didn't happen, even though it did. Charlie acknowledged it. Like, he acknowledged the pressure. He's like, yo, they keep taking money from us. They keep doing this and this and that. Like, he said it, right? So we got to acknowledge it. But it seems like Candace had personal conversations with Charlie about the fact that he was planning on leaving the pro-Israel movement. That's what it sounds like. And she knew that, and she knew she had the receipts, but she probably wasn't expecting everybody, like these people at TPUSA, to come out and attack her to the degree that they did. I can guarantee she probably was, like, to the degree, like, I remember that feeling of being confused, because whenever I discovered that Bernie Sanders had gotten cheated, and it wasn't like I was talking out of my ass, I had the receipts, I had the proof, I had the phone calls, I had the fight. Shit, Candace did a great job. Is doing a great job of this investigation, but I'm talking about, I got like the finances saying this man was being paid by the Hillary Clinton super PAC at the same time he was working with Bernie Sanders. I had that type of proof. And instead of people that I thought were supportive of democracy and supportive of Bernie, instead of people supporting me in that investigation, I got attacked for it. People that I helped get jobs in the in Bernie's campaign attacked me for discovering the truth and being willing to talk about it. And also me being confused. I'm like calling people out because I'm confused. I'm like, hold up, y'all are mad at me for discovering the cheating? Y'all are mad at me for discovering the fact that Hillary Clinton is cheating the candidate that we just busted our ass working for, that we just gave hundreds of millions of dollars to. Really? Okay, that's bizarre. So every now and then you guys start calling people out. I understand exactly why. Like, because there were people that I didn't call out initially because I wasn't sure of their intentions. I'm like, let me just give you a chance first, because maybe you're unaware of what's going on. Maybe you're trying to, adjust your approach, figure out what's really happening before you just come out and talk. I get it. But eventually you reach a point like where Candace reached. You're like, nah, y'all like literally are pretending like this isn't happening. And we all know it is. And I got the receipts. So it looks like she had personal, like outside of those receipts, I'm sure she had other conversations, because otherwise, like I said, she knew that they were planning on that Charlie Kirk was planning on bringing her back. She knew. And that didn't get a chance to happen. She knew, but then Charlie discussed it with everybody, all the important people. So that, I'm sure that wasn't the only conversation they had, because in order for you to bring Candace back, you have to acknowledge the elephant in the room, which is that the reason that you hadn't brought her back up until that point, at least according to Candace and others, is because of Zionists, right? The reason that they didn't want Tucker to come back and speak at that event he was supposed to have at the end of the year was because of what? Because of Zionists. So, yeah. Now, when she mentioned, she says, "I'm gonna take it back," because she said, "I'm not gonna bring up everybody's name. I'm gonna bring up Robert Coy, but oh no, got to bring up Hammer. Who is Josh Hammer? We're gonna check out one of the hit pieces this man did on her. Josh Hammer, I believe, is the editor-in-chief at Newsweek, and he released an article on September 19th. An article you would think, like, once again, Charlie Kirk got killed. You know, all these people claiming to be his friends, all these people claiming to have these are the same people who believe in small government, who don't trust the FBI, don't trust the CIA, supposedly don't trust the intelligence community, allegedly, right? The same people who, if Biden were in charge, Kamala Harris were in charge, etc., they wouldn't. Hell, when Trump got shot, they immediately, which by the way I agreed with. They were like, I don't trust the FBI with this investigation. They're not gonna do it right. They're gonna give us a patsy and tell you to swallow it, even if the evidence doesn't make any sense. And I agree, because fuck the intelligence community. I thought we were all on the same page there. But instead of looking at the facts, or lack thereof, looking at the holes in this investigation, and actually observing what Charlie Kirk allegedly wanted, Hammer, one of the TPUSA people, was one of the main ones coming out and swinging at Candace, instead of swinging at the FBI, the investigators, the donors who were pressuring Charlie. And he was part of the group chat, so we know he knew, right? This is the title of the article. Grifters desecrating Charlie Kirk's memory could implode MAGA. Boy, all I saw is gaslight, 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 and gaslight for MAGA. And if you disagree with me, then I'm going to emotionally blackmail you into agreeing with me. It's basically what it looks like. This is the start. I just want to read this part, and then we're gonna go to the part about Candace, because it's like, bro. You know, I have like a thing about gaslighting, by the way, because for a large portion of my life, by a few people, very important people to me, I was gaslighted for a very long time, And because of my nature, I didn't realize it was happening. And then when I finally did realize it was happening, and I realized the massive effect it had on my life, the perception of myself, the perception of people around me, the way I was moving in my life, like I was pissed. It took a while for me to get over it. I had to go to therapy because of it. Because like I realized, like I went to therapy, and my therapist, just as an aside, whenever I explained to her everything that was going on in my life, my perception of it, and she was like, hold up. It seems like you understand everything that's happening right now. Why are you here? Basically. I was like, oh, yeah. So I'm talking to you just to make sure that I'm not crazy, because these motherfuckers tried to convince me that it's me, that I'm the problem, when I try to hold people accountable for what they do. And when I call out the inconsistencies and whatever way they're acting in my life, or how they treat me versus other people. Oh, no, you're right. Yeah. Okay. Just want to make sure. For real. Oh, really quick, let me check out this super chat. Sparky, what's going on? Anytime someone asks or says, is Israel our only friend in the Middle East? I can't help but think before Israel, we had no enemies in the Middle East. U.S. missionary John Sheehan. The classic quote. Anyway, so he starts out the article by saying, is it really too much to ask that a murdered young man may be given the dignity of a proper burial before bad faith opportunists attempt to posthumously rewrite his legacy to better serve their own nefarious ends? Is it really too much to ask that a murdered young man's family and friends, to say nothing of the countless individuals whose lives the young man has touched and inspired, be allowed to mourn in peace without having to fend off charlatans seeking to hijack his memory to advance their own pet crusades? Oh my God. Y'all. What? First of all, irony, like this is about the best example of classic projection that I could possibly point to. Like, yeah, is it too much to ask, bro? Remember like how y'all was like, oh man, the left is crazy, they're terrorists. Y'all immediately went into politics. Like, hell, Trump started talking about his ballroom, which is a whole different conversation. Remember? Y'all don't remember that? Like, y'all don't remember how y'all immediately made this political? Y'all immediately assumed that the left was guilty? Remember how like Trump took out the not Trump, but the DOJ took out the study that showed that right-wing extremism is actually a problem, and they're 5 times more violent than left-wing extremists? Like that happened, right? Y'all immediately police. Okay, but I guess let's let them continue. Apparently the answer is yes, it is. I'm going to the part about Candace. Disgraced podcaster Candace Owens never one to miss any opportunity to slander Jewish people. Took precious time away from her Bridget Macron legal defense to suggest that Jewish people for Jewish state of Israel were somehow involved in Kirk's assassination. To hear Owens tell it, Kirk, a lifetime vocal support of the Jewish people of the Jewish state, was souring on Israel and was getting close to publicly adopting a hostile stance. Oh, and what's more, per Owens, Bill Ackman, the billionaire hedge funder and proud Zionist, staged an intervention with Kirk. That wasn't per Owens. That was actually per Max Blumenthal, but whatever. With Kirk during a retreat last month in the Hamptons, where Ackman pressured Kirk to get in line on the Israel issue. Notably, numerous high-profile cable news has-beens have legitimized Owens' outrageous laundering of a left-wing political assassination into an anti-Semitic caper. So that article, ladies and gentlemen, was from September 19th. It's October 7th. Free Palestine. It's October 7th. Josh Hammer wrote that article, said all that about Candace Owens, slandered her, attacked her, said all that about Charlie Kirk. And he knew from the jump that Candace Owens was telling the truth. He knew Charlie Kirk was souring on the pro-Palestine movement. You want to know how? He was part of the chat 48 hours before Charlie Kirk was assassinated. He's claiming that Candace Owens is slandering Jews because of words that came out of Charlie Kirk's mouth. So he went straight to Newsweek, launched his massive platform, went to his massive platform, launched his massive attack campaign, and he knew from the beginning. You know how we knew he knew? Because Candace just showed us. You knew he was getting bullied by Jewish donors. You knew they took money away from him. You knew they were trying to pressure him. You knew he was moving away from Israel. You knew that as much as you're attacking Candace, he wanted to bring Candace back on. And you lied anyway. You knew that Charlie Kirk was done with the pro-Israel movement. You knew he blamed Jewish donors. You knew that he wanted to bring Candace back on TPUSA, and you lied anyway. Why did you do that? That's my question. Why did you do that? Because whenever you're going to lie so deliberately and so audaciously, we need to understand why you did that. Why is Candace such a problem for you guys? Why are y'all trying to gaslight her into believing that she is somehow hurting the family by pursuing an investigation to a degree that the FBI clearly is intent on not doing? Because shit. My 6-year-old does play investigations with his little cousin, or my 7-year-old, does play investigation with his little cousin outside with more attention to detail than the FBI does. If I say, here's an evidence full of proof, here's a video full of proof, here's a video full of evidence, my 7-year-old would know to take the video. Apparently, that's too much to ask from the FBI, right? Why would you do that? Because once again, we have to remember this in the grander context. The grander context is like Bibi Netanyahu coming out and immediately asserting Charlie Kirk's support for Israel. Bibi was wrong. Candace was right. Hammer was wrong. Candace was right. I mean, the list goes. There's a shitload of people on, but there's like half of the conservative movement owes Candace Owens an apology because they kept asserting his support for the pro-Israel movement, and Candace was right this entire time. But once again, the people who knew he was done had been lying. And so, think about it in this context, right? So I know they've been having special guests for the Charlie Kirk show. Ben Shapiro was, I believe, one of the first ones. I mean, you can't get any more pro-Zionist shill-tastic than Ben Shapiro. I mean, Randall from Recess would lick Netanyahu's ball sack fresh after a basketball game, no shower. Like, he is awful. Right? Okay. But y'all knew, people like Hammer and the other executives knew how he felt about the pro-Israel movement. And you also knew how he felt about Candace. So instead of bringing on Candace, you bring on Ben Shapiro and you never invite Candace? Why? Oh, is it because of Candace's anti-Israel stance and Ben Shapiro's pro-Israel stance? And if that's the reason why, is it because the donors who Charlie Kirk didn't like and were trying to bully Charlie Kirk? Is it because they are telling you what to do and what not to do? And if that's the case, because I mean, we know that allegedly Charlie Kirk denied $150 million payday, right? I mean, that's a lot of money out of a lot of people's pockets. He was supposed to get $150 million from Netanyahu, and he was like, nah. And apparently, it's true. So that's money out of people's pockets. Lost another $2 million. Starts investigating money coming from the outside that was being invested in the TPUSA, where there was no accountability and no way for him to know where it was actually coming from. So when all of that happens within a month or even longer potentially, but at least within the last month, within that last 48 hours, and then my man's catches a bullet or whatever the hell to the neck, and then y'all immediately start pushing all of the points Israel wanted you to push or wanted him to push. What are people supposed to think, guys? I'm genuinely curious. What are people supposed to believe at that point? Bro, whether it be RFK, and I'm not comparing Charlie Kirk necessarily to y'all know I'm not comparing him to RFK, but I'm just saying when we're talking about suspicious assassinations, where we're seeing multiple shooters involved, like we don't know which direction the damn shot came from because this person was saw on the roof over here, this person was saw on the roof over here, this person was saw sprinting across the field, this person was seen over here, the bullet's curving, like. Yeah, RFK guy, JFK. People who get killed lose office right after confirming and reaffirming that they will no longer be supporting Israel. People who almost get killed lose their jobs, et cetera, lose donations. Because of what? Israel. So is it not justifiable to question the potential involvement of Israel in the intelligence community, given like one of the things that Candace pointed out? I talked about this on my last show. The office of the FBI from Connecticut that is attached for some reason to the ADL's office in Connecticut was the FBI office and FBI team that was sent to investigate the murder in Utah. Why? Oh, because Kash Patel fired a bunch of people from Utah, the Utah FBI office 2 weeks beforehand. Not suspicious at all. And also, why is the ADL working hand in hand with the FBI to conduct investigations? That's fucking ridiculous. And I have been saying, ladies and gentlemen, how many times have I said, we will never know like the truth, because unfortunately the intelligence community is intelligence community, and the closer we're going to get to knowing the truth is like these receipts, not only these receipts, hopefully, but these types of receipts. But like, we can draw enough conclusions from history and the context that we have right now and the facts that we have right now to know like there's something more malicious and more nefarious going on. And what did I say the other day? I said that I feel like it is important to talk about this story. To talk about, by the way, Erica Kirk went and said shit about this. So like, Erica, you just found out that people that you are now the CEO of, executives, members of your organization that you are now the CEO of, have been lying about what your husband wants, lying about his legacy, lying about his friends, attacking his friend, what are you going to do about it? You going to let it slide? You going to let it ride? Or are you going to take the reins of this company and actually steer in the direction that your husband wanted to go in? Let's be honest. Given what we already know about Erica, probably she's, and we can't withdraw doubt that she's in on it. We can't be like, with beyond a shadow of a doubt, Erica Kirk is not involved in anything. Not by the way. From what we're looking at, it's hard to believe that she wouldn't be in on it. But I said, what people have to understand is that we will never know the true intentions behind what happened, like the actual, like this is exactly why. But what is likely the case, what is more than likely the case, is that you got a Tucker who, after an interview with Glenn Greenwald, yeah, give me 1 second. My microphone is unplugged and replugged. Gotta fix that. 1 second. Hope I fix it. There we go. Okay, we should be good now. So yeah, you got a situation where Tucker Carlson, after an interview with Glenn Greenwald, starts to see the light on Israel blowing up, obviously. Candace Owens has a public feud with one of the most popular, and to be frank, one of the most powerful conservative journalists or podcasters, Ben Shapiro. It was, bro, they went toe to toe. They went blow for blow. And Candace, after getting censored, after getting hit on X, after getting almost getting pushed off of social media, Candace comes out on top. And Candace ain't have nowhere near the power of a Charlie Kirk. Right? Matter of fact, one can make an argument that at the time, Candace's influence almost specifically came from a Ben Shapiro or Charlie Kirk, allowing her to have that influence as long as she would stay in her lane. But when she decided, I'm just going to say, fuck Israel, actually, because they're committing a genocide, this is a no-brainer. She became more popular than Ben Shapiro because of one issue. Think about that. And I want to be frank, y'all. Candace has had horrible takes in the past. We know her takes about George Floyd, black and black. We know. Okay. But even still, for her to be able to do that as a black woman, to come out from under her Zionist masters by criticizing Zionism and specifically criticizing Israel, that is no easy feat for a black woman. Because she's supposed to be even on the left, right? They like to box us in so that we are only allowed to talk about racial issues. Is no different on the right. Race issues and be pro-Zionist. And Candace came out and outpaced all of her bosses. And to be frank, in a lot of ways, she outpaced them by actually becoming a legitimate journalist. So imagine Charlie Kirk seeing that, because like I said, for all we know, it could just be about the bottom line. At the end of the day, I don't want to be bullied, and my bottom line is actually being affected, and I am seeing Candace and Tucker become this. And we will always be limited if I have to continue to bow down to Netanyahu, no matter what he does. And to a lesser degree, even Trump, because he won't stand up to Netanyahu. So imagine if you get the trifecta of conservatism being anti-Israel. That would be disastrous. It would be disastrous for MAGA because Candace had already come out and criticized Trump a lot of times. Tucker has already come out and criticized Trump a lot of times. And obviously to be anti-Israel, eventually Charlie, despite considering himself to be friends with Trump, would also have to come out and criticize Trump while criticizing Israel. It would be a disaster for Zionism. It would be a disaster for their propaganda campaign. That is why they're working so hard to smear Candace. They're like, we can now allow people to believe that Charlie Kirk was going to switch on Israel. Because there are people that still might switch because of it. I'm sure there already are. Think about it. So when you got Max Blumenthal, Glenn Greenwald, and popular leftists doing podcasts and interviews with popular conservatives, and their conversation is principally centered around how much we dislike Israel, how problematic they are for Americans, for the world, really. But in this particular case, we're talking about Americans, how problematic they are for Americans, how problematic they are for America. If you're America first, they're problematic. If you're an average citizen in the US, they're problematic. If you don't like going to war, they're problematic. If you like your economy, they're problematic. If you like, freedom of information, the free flow of information without it being manipulated, it's problematic. And like I said, the left and the right had finally started coming together. Even if it was only on one issue, it might be the most important issue of our generation. Right? I mean, if a country can get away with genociding an entire group of people and no one can do anything about it, and yet people start to finally see how problematic that is. Yeah, I think that we can consider Israel probably the most prominent issue of our generation, and solving the Israel question would ultimately lead to more conversations. And it turns out that was actually is part of the it's part of the intelligence community plague book. So let me show y'all this video. It's from a
the official story of
Acted. I'm sure some of y'all have seen theirs. They do great work. And they talk, it's a former lieutenant colonel who has experience within the intelligence community actually breaks down exactly what I just said and is saying what I have been saying since Charlie Kirk got shot. Let me show this to y'all. Because I was like, okay, so I'm not crazy.
Through the research that I've been doing, one of the fundamental principles is a thing called strategy of tension. And it is to keep populations divided, keep them in silos, and to keep them from talking to each other. Because what happens is when people talk to each other, they oftentimes find that they have a lot of commonalities and develop like an esprit de corps among them. And you cannot control people if they have commonality.
That's exactly right.
Okay, now I may not be a lieutenant colonel, but isn't that what I said to you guys? Whenever this whole thing popped off, if you've been watching since the jump, have I not said? I said it's very. I put out a reel about it the other day. I put it on Twitter. I put it on here. I said it's just really interesting. Not only that Charlie Kirk got shot when he did, not only are we getting these allegations about Israel, but it's really interesting that they immediately went to blaming the left, and the investigation hadn't even started yet. Despite the fact Discord is like, yeah, that conversation never happened. I don't know why they don't put us in this. Even though the text exchange between Tyler Robinson, the trans lover, doesn't look real at all, right? Even though even the legitimacy of him considering himself a leftist is like up in question. We don't know. At the end of the day, even though Tyler Robinson has never admitted to actually committing the murder, even though they paved over the investigation site, even though that Dairy Queen, for some reason, that Tyler Robinson went to is closed. That's a whole different conversation, right? But they immediately went to, it's the left, blame the left is violent. The DOJ takes, once again, the DOJ took off a study off their website showing that that's actually not the case. Violent extremism in the US is committed to the tune of 5 times more than any form of violence from leftist extremists, quote unquote. It was removed from the DOJ's website 2 days. In 2 days, after they started blaming the left. Why would you do that? Yes, that Dairy Queen is really close. But why was that so y'all know about Operation Mockingbird? It ain't gone nowhere. And that was, Benny Johnson tweeted out the other day that we know that 2 Democrats, one shot Trump in the head and one shot Charlie Kirk in the head. So now we've gone from first of all, what was it, Crooks? I don't know what the hell Crooks was. I don't know where they got that idea he was a Democrat. I'm not even sure where that came from. Right? There's that. So there's the second thing is, in no document, no voter registration, no video have we ever confirmed that Tyler Robinson is actually a Democrat. But like, he immediately said 2 Democrats. He said 2 Democrats. One shot Trump in the head, one shot Charlie in the head. I'm like, what? I thought I was like misreading it. I'm like, huh? Hold up. Did we get new information about Tyler? He's a Democrat? That's news? No, that never happened. He's not a Democrat. But Benny Johnson said he was. It's like, Benny, in my opinion, I used to think Benny Johnson was an idiot, a disingenuous moron. No, he's a not. You're a not. And you were part of this Operation Mockingbird. This has all been manufactured to have people arguing about which side is more violent, about who to blame, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, to be frank, it looks like Charlie was a sacrificial lamb. And it's kind of scary, actually. It isn't because I like Charlie. It's because, like, they made that, like, unfortunately for Charlie, you can't take money from gangsters and give it back, bro. Like, that's rule number 1 of the game, dog. You should know that. You can't take money from the gangsters that are extorting you and give it back. When they say they paying, you paying for protection, like it's not real protection. It's like, what we're saying is you don't got a choice. You fall under our wing. You are our responsibility. And you are there for us to take advantage of. It was our block. You can't get the money back. But then they created that monster too. They created Charlie. Because there's no way that you legitimately get an organization worth hundreds of millions of dollars, right? And it spread like wildfire to the degree that it did. And you are on the right side of history and you're doing it organically. That is called astroturfing. And they paid for it, just like they paid for it too, because Charlie, once again, either genuinely or opportunistically, was about to flip. It looked like he was about to damn flip like Gabby Douglas on them hoes when it came to Israel. Actually, he was not happy based off of them text messages. He was on some like, boy, it sounded like he was about to say fuck Israel. Like, it's just what the text messages sound like. And they created that monster. But look how quickly they took his ass out. And look how many people seem to have been in on it. That shit is scary. Because it be your own people, y'all. It be your own. They was out there threatening HBCUs, threatening black people. Black people got hung, lynched people. Left, 2 young women got attacked, killed. They was going after everybody, and it be your own people. Check out the super chats real quick. Allegedly, MLK Jr. was killed with a 30-06 at a closer range than Kirk, but MLK's bullet hit his jaw, his collarbone, and then shoulder blade in order to stop inside his body. Anyhow, it's notable. I didn't know that he was shot with a 30-06, but I mean, that would make sense. JFK's book, Profiles in Courage, has Governor John Slayton for posthumously commuting child killer Leo Frank's sentence, making him seem more innocent so the ADL could fundraise. Ironically, Israel killed JFK. Yeah, that's what happened. I mean, a lot of people actually say like JFK, you know, even though he was making he made his pivot, we do know that, like, but that he was killed by the same monster that he created or he gave into, basically, because he was trying to play the game too much and he got in bed with the wrong people and was giving mixed signals. And when he finally decided to take a stand, JFK didn't know Governor John Slayton was bribed by what became the ADL to posthumously commute Leo Frank's sentence. Slayton did catch hell politically, but it wasn't courage, it was bribery. Interesting. I didn't know that. Did not know that. But look, I'm gonna give you another example, y'all. PSYOP. It's a PSYOP. It's an I don't know how to say it, y'all. Okay, we can't blame the left completely, so we gotta blame a foreign power. Let's see what foreign power they go for this time. By the way, if y'all needed more proof that Alex Jones himself was an op. Congresswoman, hold on, let me put this up for y'all. Yeah, I knew this segment was gonna run a little long because, like I said, we just got too much. It's too much, y'all. Like the receipts, the obvious sign that's taking place right in front of our eyes, and Candace being willing to drop those receipts when she did. Like, nah, I'm over here on the edge of my seat. Like, damn, bro. And she says she got more. So I want to know what BB got to say about that, because Candace need to be careful, right? Like, I'm not even joking. Like, Candace really needs to be careful. She needs to take care of herself, because you just exposed that not only were these people part of this group chat were lying, but Zionist donors were lying, but more specifically, BB was lying. Like, you exposed that, and that's a problem. Because the closer you get and the more you expose about the Zionists involved in the situation, the more people are going to look at who. And if I'm a conservative and I supported Zionism, I'm going to think back a little bit like, look, man, I did support Zionism. I do even. But like, if I can get knocked off for questioning Israel, I'm not really sure I want to be part of this anymore. Wouldn't y'all think like that? Just saying. This is what Anna Paulina got to say with her astute stripper analysis.
There's been a lot of questions as to whether there was foreign government involvement.
In which one? In
the assassination of Charlie Kirk, right?
Okay.
So like, we're going to address these theories right now. Back during the ICE riots, do you remember all of that at the beginning of the year?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people were like, where are all of a sudden these big violent riots coming from? Who's funding these organizations? We found...
First of all, who are like, oh my God, where are all these big violent riots coming from? We were like, oh man, when ICE runs up in a bunch of people's jobs to remove taxpayers, upstanding citizens, people who have committed no crime, to mind their own business. Like, yeah, you're gonna piss people off. Like when y'all are beating people, calling the National Guard, like nobody wondered where those, nobody. Nobody wondered where they was. Y'all may have pretended like y'all were wondering. No, you sent people into people's jobs, started beating the hell out of them, started dragging them out, started putting them in detention centers for no reason to prove a point, and you were selective about the places you were doing it. And you're profiling. I mean, nobody was wondering. But all right, Anna, we'll let you cook. Go ahead.
Out that there was a foreign funding tied to an individual by the name of Neville Singham, who's a multi-billionaire. And he made his billions by working with the communist Chinese government. And he would take, and he's not a registered agent, a foreign agent, which is a FARA violation. So he's taking these millions, funneling it into organizations like the Party of Socialism and Liberation, who then in turn create these very radicalized movements, but they're not even American in theory or funded by American people. They're actually funded by foreign governments. The irony in all this is that Neville Singham, not just to Mamdani's election, so like Jews from Mamdani, but he actually also has ties to funding the Party of Socialism, the Salt Lake City queer group, which is now being investigated with former knowledge on whether or not they knew Charlie would be assassinated, who had ties to the shooter. So I do think that there's a foreign funding tie, but the question is,
what? Who had ties to the shooter? The shooter, by the way, that they don't actually know killed Charlie Kirk. They're just calling him the shooter. They're assuming still that he's a shooter. And now they're trying to link this billionaire who lived in China. And I want to be clear. He's a billionaire who lives in China. He did not make his billions from working with China. And I'm going to explain what I mean by that in a second. But yeah, I'm just going to let her continue to make an ass out of herself.
which government? And I think it's tied to the Chinese.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yo. That's how far we've gotten now, guys. This is where we're at now. The Chinese did it. So having legitimate questions about Israel's involvement because Bibi Netanyahu came out immediately, started talking about Charlie, started talking about how much Charlie loved Israel, started defending himself proactively, which is weird, and preemptively. Started talking about this letter from Charlie. The fact that these Jewish donors, these Zionist donors were threatening Charlie. I mean, bring up, and also Israel's history of assassinating people. I mean, there's that. Even their allies, right? Okay. So when we bring up all that stuff, you're anti-Semitic, you're conspiracy theorists, et cetera, et cetera. This woman just tried to claim that China is somehow connected and responsible for Charlie Kirk's murder. Holy shit. Boy, that is some clown ass shit. And Olive Jones is retweeting it like, oh man, we gotta look at Anna go.
I mean, like
called the queer what?
Salt Lake City queers.
Salt Lake City queers.
They're being investigated by the FBI. But if you look at the organization and where the funding comes from, I mean, not just them, they had ties to groups in Cuba and they are actually calling themselves terrorists. But not just that, they also have ties to the United Nations. So there's this aspect of a very pro-globalist and then a pro-Marxist movement to really sow discord and divide in this country. And that's why I recently posted on my social media, I was like, check out the bot farms that actually exist. And when you see all this...
You mean like the bot farms from Israel? Yeah, man. So in case you were wondering, yes, Anna Polina is also an op. Because ain't no way you just said that shit with a serious face, bro. So the billionaire that she's referring to, I want to clarify that. His name is Neville Singham. The thing that she didn't mention, which was on purpose, I guarantee you, is that Neville Singham is actually extremely anti-Israel. No, Sparky, I actually did. I read that chat about the 30-06 bullet with MLK. Yeah, Neville is extremely anti-Israel, which probably explains why he moved to China, being a billionaire. But Neville Singham didn't become a billionaire. She is right about that. But it's because he started an IT company in 1993? And he sold it in 2017. He sold it to Apex Partners in 2017 before he moved to China. AIPAC's partners is not based in China, ladies and gentlemen. It's based in London. Yeah, that London. Not London, China. Not London, Shanghai. It's London, England. He didn't become a billionaire because of China. He moved to China after the fact. Can you blame him? I mean, shit. BYD, Tesla. Come on. We know what time it is. BYD. Build your dreams. Y'all, hey, BYD, hit me up, man. If y'all really looking to sponsor somebody, hit your boy up. But she just like straight, looked at y'all straight in the face and fucking lied. Like, he got his business working with the CCP. No, that's not true. He built his own company up in the US and sold it to a British company and then moved. Also, China? Yeah, we're gonna investigate this weird queer group, this random queer group in Salt Lake City. We're going to investigate this random billionaire who doesn't even live in the US. We're gonna investigate all these people. Oh, don't forget, guys, he didn't register as a foreign agent. He didn't register as a foreign agent. So we're gonna investigate all that. The important stuff, like, you know, the fact that Israel is paying influencers $7,000 up to and more than $7,000 to lie for them without them registering as foreign agents, by the way, which is a violation. That is actually a violation. What he is doing actually is not a violation because he's American. He made his billions in America. And if he is still an American citizen and he chooses to donate to organizations and is doing so legally, what he's doing isn't illegal. He's not working on behalf of the CCP. He's just an American who lives in China, okay? And he doesn't need to register as a foreign agent. But he is very anti-Israel. And he has funded, to some degree, pro-Palestine movements. He's very outspokenly pro-Palestine. So another way for Israel to make you look the other way, look at another country. Look at how they're funding movements. Look at how they're funding what? Bro, y'all just got caught. $7,000 a post. What are we talking about? No one registered as a foreign agent, but y'all getting paid $7,000 a post. Oh, excuse me. Once again, except for Officer Tatum, who's apparently getting paid in hot pockets. I don't know what, he's just out here getting spit on by Israelis for free. But other than the Officer Tatum, who was upset about it, everybody was getting paid $7,000 a post. That's the shit they want us to believe. But that's what I mean by when I say they're trying, this looks like it was specifically created to divide us. This whole psyop. And Charlie Kirk paid the price for playing the game. And Candace, as somebody who's actually close to him, seems to be the only person interested in exposing the reality that, like, oh no, there's something going on. I don't know exactly what it is, but I do know that all of y'all are lying. And they, once again, before we move on, it's just really important to remember that the pastor that gaslighted Candace, I can't believe that she's doing this to his family. Doing what? Once again, if I go under mysterious circumstances, especially if I'm assassinated in front of the whole goddamn world in a viral video, if I go under mysterious circumstances, the FBI and authorities and local authorities start hiding the evidence, even if you look at like the defense attorney that they gave Tyler Robinson, like it's some unqualified lady who probably should not be a defense attorney in a case this big. Like, if you look at the fact that the FBI officers were fired, or agents were fired 2 weeks beforehand, and then they just had to bring some people from out of town that work with the AD. Like, if I die under those type of circumstances and y'all don't investigate after the fact, we are no longer friends, and I'm coming back to haunt y'all asses. Because what Candace is doing is normal, what y'all are doing is weird. For the 100th time. And I'll continue to say that. And y'all were part of a group chat where y'all all knew what Charlie wanted, and y'all are doing the exact opposite. Y'all were a part of it. Josh Hammer, this pastor Roy. He wasn't even going to Roy's. He keeps calling himself Charlie's pastor. He wasn't even going. Charlie wasn't going to his church. But it does turn out that he had a vested interest in Charlie accepting this money from the Zionists and from Israel, because if apparently he had a vested interest in making sure that Charlie never converted to Catholicism, because his kids were working in the organization under a religious role that involved Protestantism. So there's a whole different thing. But it looks like they're all in on it. But at the bare minimum, ladies and gentlemen, at the bare minimum, y'all knew Candace was telling the truth about what Charlie wanted in the direction that he was going, at the bare minimum. And you guys all lied. How can we not look at that and be like, okay, there's a conspiracy to cover something up? There's a conspiracy to cover up the intent behind the murder of Charlie Kirk. And I seriously doubt that conspiracy starts and stops with Tyler Robinson. Of all damn people. Let's switch gears real quick, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you like the video. Make sure y'all share. Subscribe if you're new here. We got to talk about Van Jones. Oh, my God, this man, Van Jones. Shucking and jiving Jones. Yeah, no, Van ain't never going to disappoint when it come to just talking out of his ass and reminding us who he is. He ain't never going to disappoint. I promise you. And he went on Bill Maher's show, man, and he said some whoo. It was like, even for Van, like we know what time it is when it comes to him, but like even for Van Jones, this was abhorrent. This goes beyond shucking and jiving. He straight up dismisses the deaths of Palestinians and blames it on foreign powers. Listen.
But isn't part of that because we had to fold everything into critical race theory, and somehow the Middle East became part of,
I see it differently, and I love this conversation because I think people, those of us who went to college, give a lot more credit to college courses for how the world works than I do. This is not about critical race theory on college campuses. This is about Iran. Iran and Qatar have come up with a disinformation campaign that they are running through TikTok and Instagram that is massive. If you are a young person, you open up your phone and all you see is dead Gaza baby, dead Gaza baby, dead Gaza baby,
right.
Diddy, dead Gaza baby, dead Gaza baby. That's basically your whole feed. So that's not DEI. That is a geopolitical adversary that is deliberately trying to divide the West against itself.
Bruh. Dead guys and baby dead. First of all, are the babies dead in Gaza or not, Van? Are these Palestinian babies dead or are they not dead? Because like you didn't say they weren't dead. It's like your problem seems to be that we are seeing it and that we are outraged by what we see. That's what your problem seems to be. I don't need Iran nor Qatar to tell me that babies getting bombed indiscriminately by Israel, women getting killed, innocents getting killed, dogs getting shot, buildings getting destroyed, obliterated, hospitals getting destroyed, obliterated, churches and mosques getting obliterated. I don't need Iran nor Qatar to tell me that those are horrid things to witness and even worse to live. And I don't need for them to tell me to sympathize with that cause. And it's like to put Diddy in there, like, what? But what was worse than that statement and the callous nature in which he said it, like, is the apology. That was his apology? Jesus Christ. Some people don't know when to say when. He said, yeah, I messed up on this one, and I'm sorry. I was trying to raise awareness about foreign adversaries creating chaos online, which is undermining democracy everywhere. But what I said was easily misunderstood. What? Well, there that gaslighting again. And the way I said it was flat out insensitive. Babies are dying every day in Gaza. Nobody should dispute that fact or make light of it in any way. To the people living in fear and burying family members every day of all ages, I apologize. What? Bro, did he just hit us with the, I'm sorry that you took it that way? Man, everybody who had a narcissistic girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, husband, partner, friend, everybody has experienced the, well, I'm sorry you took it that way. Because that's what he just hit us with. He's like, I'm trying to bring attention to foreign government. It's funny because you're on the topic of Israel and you're like, I'm trying to bring attention to how foreign governments are trying to stoke chaos. And it's a problem for democracy. That's super weird because I heard nothing in that segment about the $7,000 that Israel is out here paying influencers. Shit, I wonder how much you got paid for that segment. I heard nothing in that segment about how much money AIPAC invests in the U.S. government and its politicians. In what world is Iran? Do you have any proof of what you're claiming? Iran is somehow paying to get Palestinian babies shown on TikTok? How does that work exactly? How does that work? And do you have any proof of that? Because what we actually do know is that Bibi did call Elon Musk to Israel, right? He did make him sit down with him, converse with him, put on a tiny hat. And Elon came back to the US talking about all the ways he would engage in censorship that was deemed inconvenient to Israel, even suspending people who wrote out statements like "from the river to the sea," even though that's part of Bibi's party's, like that is part of their platform. People don't even know that. That whole "from the river to the sea" thing is like, the reason that Palestinians say that is because Israel talks about conquering from the river to the sea. And that's why Palestinians say from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Like, and Elon's like, nah, we about to ban anyone who is pro-Palestine and makes that statement. They began censoring people in the algorithm. Like, that happened. If you are concerned about foreign influence, whenever they can call, at the time, the richest man in the world, bring his ass over there, tell him exactly what he is, should and should not be allowed to say, and should not allow other people to say on his social media platform. That was your time to be concerned, man. Not when people are rightfully upset about dying Palestinian babies. And ironically, the people who paid Elon and told him to shut up are the same ones killing those Palestinian babies. Then, wants to talk about misinformation. Guys, Qatar is funded by the United States. People look at Al Jazeera, get the issue of Palestine right? Which is like, they get the majority of criticisms of Israel, right, which is easy to do, and Palestine, right. That's damn near a limit. If you actually pay attention to Al Jazeera, there's almost actually the limit of what they get right. Because, for example, when it comes to Assad, they were horrid. Why? Because the United States funds Qatar. Qatar, the largest military installation in the region is in Qatar. The U.S.'s largest military installation. People don't know that. Whenever you get, if anybody's been in the military, if I have anybody in chat, they'll let you know. You get deployed to the Middle East, where you usually go first to go to the next country that you'll be deployed to. You usually end up in Qatar first, and then you go to wherever you're going. Did we not just witness somehow Israel tried to assassinate Hamas leaders in the middle of a ceasefire talk that was supposed to happen? Because Qatar could not manage to intercept the missile that was launched from Israel, but they could intercept missiles that were launched from Iran. And they really have never given an explanation as to why. And they just sat back and let it happen as Israel violated their sovereignty. Why? Because they work for Israel. Duh. If you look at like Al Jazeera, for example, once again, look up articles that had anything to do with Assad. And we know Israel, Qatar basically funds completely Al Jazeera. And they get it completely wrong. They got it wrong on Assad all the time, consistently, regularly. Even on Lebanon and Hezbollah. They get it wrong frequently and often on leaders that the United States and Israel does not like. Even Saudi Arabia gets it right on Israel sometimes, but we know where their wills actually lie, right? Like we're not stupid. So this idea that Qatar is funding some radical leftist movement in the U.S. is freaking ridiculous. They're doing whatever's in the best interest of the United States and Israel all the time. Because their economy literally relies on it. Otherwise, it would have been instant smoke with Israel whenever Israel violated their sovereignty by trying to assassinate Hamas leaders while they were trying to be Switzerland. Once again, I don't believe that was like, oh man, like, damn, they caught us off guard. If anything, they helped them plan the shit. That is more likely. But what's even more interesting is the fact that Qatar is always associated with leftist movements, always associated with with Iran. They always say like they're trying to help out the countries that the U.S. doesn't like and that Israel doesn't like. Are y'all aware of of Qatargate? Are y'all aware of that? The so-called Qatargate affair centers on Israeli police and the Shin Bet investigations into payments from Qatar aimed at improving Qatar's image in Israel and influencing policy, allegedly funneling through companies and received by senior Netanyahu advisors. Reports from Israeli media have documented that Qatar funds, approximately $10 million, were paid to firms and individuals closely associated with Netanyahu, including Jonathan Urich and Eli Feldstein, both of whom had roles closely tied to Netanyahu's political communications and campaigns. There have also been references to leaked documents reporting to show plans for much larger direct transfers, up to $50 million, ostensibly for the Likud party to be delivered directly to Netanyahu, but these have been denied forcefully by the Likud spokesperson, and no conclusive proof has emerged publicly to verify those specific claims. Likud party and Netanyahu said it was a witch hunt, but they couldn't really disprove anything. And as you all know, he has a bunch of hearings, a bunch of corruption he participated in. So if we're really that concerned about, foreign funding, I mean, if you're that concerned about it, if you think Qatar is out here just altruistically funding pro-Palestine movements and they're not on the side of the U.S., they're not on the side of Israel, they're not on the side of the empire, you have lost your goddamn mind. You don't let another country bomb a ceasefire talk, like literally just whoop, boop. And then, like, you're in your country when you've proven to be able to intercept missiles in the very recent past. And I'm supposed to believe that you're also simultaneously out here doing the right thing, funding an algorithm to tell the truth about Palestine. Come on. No, not really. Since Van is so concerned about like what foreign governments and the ability to contribute financially to misinformation can do and how problematic it is. Let's talk about it. Look about like 40 beheaded babies, for example, like, right? Since we're talking about how important it is to observe stories within the context of foreign governments funding a government. How many times did we hear that 40 beheaded babies story? Why was that? Because of Hasbro bots and the like, and because Elon Musk didn't want to silence the people who were deliberately lying about the 40 beheaded baby story, even after it got debunked multiple times. He didn't want to silence them, but he wanted to silence people for saying from the river to the sea. Do y'all know how much of the carnage after October 7th was justified because of that specific lie? And that specific lie was allowed to percolate through the internet and on the news through mainstream media and other media sources. And it damn near went unchallenged until independent media began to do so. And then like Political Fact and others finally had to be like, oh man, like, yeah, there's not really any proof. Where did I get this from again? Oh, IDF soldier said it. Okay, but like, is there proof of it? Well, no, not really. So it's not true. Do you have any forensic evidence? No, not really. Oh, what about the 1,200 people killed on October 7th? Because like, once again, we want to talk about foreign influence, foreign financial influence causing people to lie about the truth and how disruptive it is for democracy and discourse. 1,200 people killed by Hamas, supposedly, right? But it wasn't really 1,200 people killed by Hamas, right? A lot of those people were killed by who? By Israel. There are plenty of people that talked about Israeli friendly fire, calling Israeli civilian deaths. Anadolu Agency, November 2023, reports confirm that Israeli military helicopters opened fire at Palestinian gunmen during the Nova Music Festival on October 7th, but also ended up wounding and possibly killing Israeli civilians at the festival. The incident was corroborated by Israeli police investigations and echoed Israeli newspapers such as Haaretz, which stated that Apache helicopter pilots had difficulty distinguishing gunmen from civilians and used artillery against crowds. Reuters, 2024, an Israeli inquiry found that at least one hostage taken on October 7th was likely killed by the fire from Israeli helicopters, suggesting friendly fire was responsible for some deaths during the chaos. Al Jazeera, 2025, a report on the official Israeli investigation into the military affairs of October 7th acknowledged that some Israelis had been killed by friendly fire, though the report did not go into further detail. Electric Antifada in 2024, Israeli military officials admitted to an immense and complex quantity of what they termed friendly fire incidents on October 7th. The article references Israeli police sources and leaked internal military documents. Enet and Wikipedia, same thing, immense complex quantity of friendly fire. Sky News even. Several mainstream media outlets have referenced Israeli internal probes and official military statements confirming that friendly fire occurred in the chaos, and Israeli weaponry was a factor in a number of civilian and hostage deaths during the attack. I mean, if we're going to talk about it, let's tell the whole story, man, because I agree with you guys. Foreign influence and foreign money and foreign finance can be very problematic when you're trying to get the truth out. And when we were trying to tell the truth about October 7th and all the events that happened after, people like yourself, clearly taking money from fucking Zionists, lied again, gaslighted, lied some more, and then you get on TV and joke about the deaths of Palestinian babies just a couple of days before the anniversary of October 7th. And then tell people that you're sorry that we took it that way. If misinformation is really why don't you tell the truth about the actual misinformation regarding the genocide Israel has committed, the fact that it's Israel and their shills who are perpetuating that misinformation about how much money they spend to ensure that misinformation gets spread. Instead of trying to, like, you're doing the work for Israel, trying to start World War III with Iran, doing the work for Trump, because 2 days from now, you're gonna be fucking complaining when Trump is going to war on behalf of it. Because it looks like, goddammit, that Bibi Netanyahu is gearing up to try to start another war with Iran. And he looked like he's trying to get consent for it. And this Charlie Kirk situation was a little bit inconvenient for him, basically. So now he's sitting down with Ben Shapiro and doing other interviews, trying to convince us how dangerous Iran is. In 2-3 days, Van Jones gonna be on camera crying again. I told my kids. So many people gonna be sad tonight. You gonna be criticizing Trump, and you out here doing his work for him. Van Jones is a fucking clown, bro. He is a clown. Bruh. Last story for the day, y'all. Last story. Zohran Mamdani, dog. That man, love baby Jesus. At this point, people should know who he is. So he sat down for an interview with Jorge Ramos and his daughter Paula, and it was uncomfortable. You could tell Ramos was trying his hardest to get Mamdani to say what he wanted him to say. That's kind of like the norm for Mamdani. You would think that he would have started practicing how to deal with these situations. And instead, he shit the bed again. Really quick. Let's check out what the fuss is all about.
Politically, I think I have to ask you this question. Just going back to socialismo, do you think that Miguel Diaz-Canel in Cuba is a dictator?
I haven't thought much about Miguel Diaz, I'll be honest with you. I think mostly about these 5 boroughs and how we can actually deliver affordability for New Yorkers.
But do you think Nicolas Maduro is a dictator in Venezuela?
I think he has done many a horrible thing.
But again, do you think it's important that you say that they are dictators and that people understand here in New York that you are not aligned with them?
I think it's clear and it's important for me to showcase how this is a vision for the people of the city. And as you said, it is in stark contrast to the experiences that many others have had. And I think when I hear from a number of Venezuelan New Yorkers about what drove them to come to this city, the conditions that they had to live through, I understand their skepticism. I understand their caution. And yet I have found in them an understanding that my vision is one that is distinct from that experience.
Yeah, but I wonder if you're reluctant to call them dictators in Cuba and Venezuela.
I'm not reluctant. I just haven't thought about them that often. I'll be honest with you. I think that Maduro's government is one of repression. There's no question about it. And I think
it's in Cuba.
Sorry?
And also it's happening in Cuba since 1959.
And I think that the repression
Really, it's been repressive since 1959 specifically. That's you know what?
Whether we're speaking about Cuban New Yorkers or Venezuelan New Yorkers that they have had to live through is a repression that stands in a clear contrast from what our vision is here.
Bruh. First of all, what? Like, what? Wait, my guy. First of all, that was the most Obama-ass answer ever. But second of all, like, I'm gonna be honest with you. Why is he being asked that question? He lives in New York. He is not about to have any effect on foreign policy whatsoever. Now, if he wanted to be honest and be upfront, like both Venezuela and Cuba actually have some of the most secure democracies in the world, especially Venezuela. Especially Venezuela. Okay, like if he wanted to be honest, but you know, that's a lot for Mamdani, I know. So after that really kind of shitty answer, he goes back and he puts out a statement and says this. I want to be clear on where I stand. I believe both Nicolas Maduro and Miguel Diaz Canel are dictators. Their administrations have stifled free and fair elections. Not true. Jailed political opponents and suppressed the free and fair press. And yet, our federal government's long history of impunity policies toward both countries, including extrajudicial killings of Venezuelans and the continuation of a decades-long blockade of Cuba, have only worsened these conditions. Democratic socialism is about dignity, justice, and accountability, which you've demonstrated zero of, by the way. And above all, it's about building a democracy that works for working people and not one that preys on them. Yeah. Bruh. Okay. I want y'all to give me another example of a president like Maduro, who not only obviously he runs recently, he wins. And then when the opposition party with no legitimate proof claims that he cheated, this man takes himself to court because that's what happened. And people don't seem to understand that. That happened. Maduro took himself to court and said, please audit these elections. Please. And you know what the opposition party was like? Please don't. They didn't want him to do it. And he's like, nah, if y'all think I cheated, I'm more than willing to have them confirm the elections and prove it. Yeah. And then the U.S. actually sent some people to try to assassinate him, et cetera, et cetera. But my point is, Venezuela has automatic election audits. We do not. Venezuela has election observers from foreign nations, by the way, to make sure that everything is locked tight. We do not. Cuba's democracy is leaps and bounds ahead of the U.S.'s. Just their Congress alone has been 50% male, 50% female forever. Now, Jorge Ramos, he knows this, but this is like what he does. I don't know if y'all know that. Like, he's like won awards and like, yeah, he lives in Miami, but this is like a Mexican whose job it is to come after any leftist Latino leader. For example, he actually criticized Sheinbaum in Mexico. He's like, she needs to bring down the violence. She needs to keep crime under control. And I'm like, huh? I was a little bit confused. Because I don't know if y'all noticed about Sheinbaum, but the one thing that she has done, like, when it comes to crime and especially violent crime specifically, Sean Bond is actually one of the best presidents in the history of Mexico. And that is not hyperbole. This is from CNN of all places, by the way. From World Cup to a cool head with Trump. Why Mexico's president is still so popular 1 year on. This is from October 5th. One year on from her inauguration as Mexico's first female president, Claudia Sheinbaum still commands the sort of popular support many leaders can only wish for. Roughly 70% of Mexicans approve of her performance, according to an August poll by Buen Dia y Marquez for the newspaper El Universal. Although that's down from 80%, oh God, in February, it's still a sharp contrast to U.S. President Donald Trump, whose rating is hovering above just 40% 8 months into his second term, according to CNN poll aggregate. So what's the key to Sheinbaum's success? Surveys suggest one of her most popular achievements has been expansion of social support programs for millions of citizens, including seniors, students, single mothers, and women in general. These are in part a continuation of the policies that made her predecessor and mentor, former President Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador, so popular, and reflect the slogans that swept him into power. For the good of all, first the poor. That's a brilliant slogan, by the way. Hold on, let me go to the part that's most important. Here we go. Fall in crime. In Sheinbaum's first year, the rate of several high-impact crimes fell sharply, according to official figures. During the first 11 months of Sheinbaum's term, 23,917 intentional homicides were recorded in Mexico, down from 31,801 during the first 11 months. It's not to say that Sheinbaum doesn't face challenges in this area. That fall in crime has not been even across the country. I mean, it's kind of like, duh, but bro, that's huge. Those are huge drops. Like, kind of ridiculous, actually. And he knows that. But Jorge is the type of guy that is going to lie and obfuscate. And once again, it's like, his reason, by the way, his reason for asking that question to Mamdani was because he's like in Miami, I think he called it el bautismo, like the baptism, because they're going to ask you in Miami when you come down here, what do you think about Maduro? What do you think about Canel? What do you think about, okay. And you fucking tell the truth and you don't live in Miami. You're about to be the mayor of New York. But once again, here's where the problems come from. You let reporters like him, other politicians, Democrat establishment politicians, hell, even some Republican politicians who are trying to control the narrative, secret conservatives, right? Because a lot of neoliberals are just neocons in disguise. You let them bully you into saying lies that you know are lies, and you're winning your election handedly. You don't need to play their game, but you are still choosing to play their game. You have no responsibilities yet. As far as accountability is concerned, you're going to lose to the sex pest or Eric Adams who can't even be mayor anymore. Oh, actually, no, I think he could be, but he's just like, he's done. There's no chance. Cuomo is done. No chance. A Republican is not going to win New York right now. You don't have to lie. You don't have to throw the Palestinian movement under the bus like you have. You don't have to take billions from hundreds of millions or tens of millions rather, from billionaires from California through super PACs and then pretend like you didn't see it happen. Like when we're all watching it happen in real time. You don't have to do any of that. And you're winning. And you're like, yep, but let me still keep fucking up. Let me call Maduro a dictator, even though I know he's not, even though I know I'm pushing a pro-Trump talking point. I'm pushing a pro-establishment talking point in the middle of Trump trying to start a war with Venezuela. I know that I am being used right now to manufacture consent, and I'm going to say it anyway. Why? Who knows? That's what Obama did. He won. Now, Mamdani, he's not a citizen, or excuse me, I think he is, but he's naturalized. He became a citizen later. So he can't actually be the president. However, he can get pretty high up there. He can get close enough. And he's a careerist through and through. This man, once again, this is why I hate. Y'all know, I don't codify myself as a socialist or a communist. Most people know that. But one thing I do hate, boy, I hate somebody who'll be like, I'm a Democrat socialist. I hate that shit. Because you're a neoliberal that likes to steal working class money and pretend like you're on our side, the side of the working class. You are the worst kind of piece of shit. We know AOC is about to do the same thing, right? AOC is about to run for president. She's going to get potentially hundreds of millions of dollars from the working class. And she's not going to make out the primary. I will be surprised if AOC finishes third. And it might be that she gets cheated. There's a chance that that's really why. But given how much context we have of AOC waffling and being wishy-washy on key issues now, hell, now we don't even actually need her to get cheated. People are just going to bring up the receipts. But that isn't going to stop her from taking tens of millions of dollars to hundreds of millions of dollars from working class and then selling out movements by the boatload. Like, we know that's coming. Another Democratic socialist fucking us over. We can't trust y'all. We can't trust y'all DSA people. If DSA endorsed you, you're not on our team. What do you get out of, you are running for mayor of New York. What do you get out of calling Maduro a dictator when it's not true? It's just legitimately not true. You don't want to bring up the money that's been stolen from Venezuela by the US and Western powers. You did bring up the embargo, but only as a way to as a small caveat, like that is a small caveat. No, that embargo is the entire problem in Cuba. Cuba is being punished for liberating itself. They were then, they are now. That is the problem. You don't get to talk about anything else until that gets addressed. But outside of that, Cuba has they have so many damn elections. They have thousands of elections in Cuba. What are you talking about? From the top down. That's a fact. But we're just gonna lie. Just gonna lie. Just fuck it. Whatever. This is a lie. Why? Who knows? I really don't. I do not know why someone would keep lying like this unless your goal is to ingratiate yourself with the powers that be because you're an opportunist and a careerist and you're thinking about future opportunity. Which is why Mamdani can be extremely problematic for New Yorkers. Cuomo will be problematic for different reasons. Eric Adams, but Mamdani looks like he gonna sell y'all down the river. He gonna spit on y'all and call it Kool-Aid, basically. He gonna piss on y'all and call it Gatorade. It's gonna be a problem in New York. And unfortunately, y'all really don't got too many better options that are gonna win, that have a chance to win in this particular case. Y'all don't have a Butch Ware situation Butch Ware actually does have a chance to win California because of the very, very unique circumstances. So I feel bad for y'all, but y'all got to stay woke when it comes to Mamdani. Don't be out here just like voting for Mamdani and think you can go to sleep, because that dude about to screw y'all over. He about to screw y'all. That's happening. So I need y'all to be ready for that. Don't get no fucking money to him. Don't support him. Don't be retweeting him. Don't be defending him. He's a piece of shit. He's an opportunist. He's a careerist. Period. Point blank. Sorry, like, it sucks. I know, but we call balls and strikes around here. All right. That being said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for tuning into this live stream segment of For the People podcast. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you share the video. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you become a Patreon supporter. Help us hit 100,000 subscribers. Man, we got like 4,000 or 5,000 subscribers this month. Shit's crazy. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. I appreciate all the love. I appreciate all the likes and all that good stuff. All the awesome comments, yo. It's been dope to see. I really, really appreciate it. Let's continue to grow. Let's continue to support the show. Don't forget to continue to support other truly independent journalists that are trying to do this, because, like, bro, I mean, y'all seen the AstroTurf campaign, right? Y'all are seeing it play out in front of us. Y'all see how problematic it is? You see how problematic it is whenever the independent journalists who are telling the truth can't get the support and continue to do the work and keep up with the journalists who are being funded or AstroTurf. Like, it's a problem. And I do believe that people are actually starting to see it. And that's why we've seen this uptick of support in truly independent journalism over the last, I would say over the last year or so. So continue to support independent journalists, share the videos. A lot of time they're giving out some of the best information on top of it. It's not like these people are just giving out bullshit and saying, but like, they're actually in the trenches as well. Sabby Sass putting together a documentary about Boston. It's about to be, it's going to be heat. She's talking about it. I mean, like, look at what Sabby has done, guys. Like, bro, like, y'all remember where Sabby started out 2-3 years ago? And the support she got because of the awesome reporting that she's done and being willing to be consistent. And then she's immediately leveraged that base into direct action on the ground and is taking it to another level. Like, and there are other people. I mean, y'all seen, Convo Couch has done that back in the day. Well, now called Truth Wire. Hard Lens has done that to varying degrees. I've obviously done that in the past. But you see what Sabby has been able to do with the amount of support that she has. And it's been like, this is exactly why we need to support truly independent journalists and people who actually understand what it's like to go through what a lot of these people who are watching us go through. That's why mutual aid is important. And having the message, that's having Sabby Sass with her platform, for example, and bring on people that others might not have ever even heard of until they saw the most ads. And because she doesn't really discriminate when it comes to information. If you got good information and she sees you, she gonna get you. And she's gonna give you an opportunity to showcase your information and your talents. And that's what we need, because we see what the AstroTurf campaigns do to movements, how they corrupt the truth, or how some of them tell the truth up until that point where it's not okay anymore. It's like, you're getting to your limit, limited hangout. Don't forget, if you say that, you're kicked out. You get kicked out the club, right? We want truth without limits. So support independent journalists, guys. Like this video, share this video, leave a comment below, come back and leave a comment after the fact. But always remember, more than anything else, find your balance. Peace.